Hi, this is Mark. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the economy in 2021. This is a companion video to the video I did earlier and that I'll link in the comments down below on real estate in 2021. And that one I drilled down a little bit into the economy to look at what I thought was going to affect the real estate in the year 2021 and how all that was going to shake out. Today I'm going to take a 1 mile high view and look at what I think is going to happen to the entire economy in 2021. I am really pumped to share all this information with you. Thank you again for coming back and joining me. Before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed, if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. And as always, if you could help me out with the YouTube algorithm and smash that like button. The economy in 2020 was really like a Magic Mountain roller coaster. At the end of 2019, the economy was bumping along at about a 2.4% annual rate, and it was slowing but still performing fairly well. Then the first cases of COVID hit in January of 2020. The economy started to slow with the virus coming in, and in the first quarter of 2020, the economy dropped 5%. In the second quarter, the virus really started to ramp up and people began to realize how serious it was. There were lockdowns and business shutdowns, and the economy absolutely cratered and fell by 31.4%. In the third quarter, government tried to reopen businesses, and this turned out to be very premature. They opened much too quickly because the virus was not under control at all. The economy did raise by 33.4%, but don't let that number fool you. Yes, it was a large raise, but it was a large rise from a very deep hole. At the end of that quarter, the economy still had only recovered about half of the jobs that had been lost in the second quarter. So the economy was still very weak. The fourth quarter results are not in yet, but they are expected to increase by about 4%. However, when you look at the year as a whole, the economy is expected to shrink by 3.5%, which is the worst result since World War II. All in all, a very bad year in 2020. From the attached picture from the Wall Street Journal, you can actually see that December was even worse than it looked in the previous chart. Some industries did okay, such as big technology and online sales, and of course the freight companies that deliver all those online purchases to people who couldn't go out to retail stores or were afraid to go out because of COVID. But a lot of industries such as hospitality, restaurants, cruises, hotels, airlines absolutely got crushed. So the overall result in December was a loss of 140,000 jobs. Industry such as hospitality did even worse than that. So with all this bad news, you think that 2021 is going to be an absolute disaster, right? Not so fast. The economists are predicting that the first quarter growth will be 5.2%. Now, we don't know what it's going to be because it's a prediction, and those predictions are notoriously unreliable. However, it is good that that's what they're predicting. And it's also better in that not only is it positive, but it's more positive than what they think happened in December. So that not only is the economy increasing, but it's increasing at an accelerator rate. It's getting better faster. As the report points out, all of these economic problems are strictly caused by the COVID virus and the effect it's had on industry with all the lockdowns and shutdowns. And when the vaccine gets rolled out, all of these industries can open back up. And the expectation is that there are going to be 100 million vaccinations done by the end of April. And additionally, in the first quarter, production is going to be ramping up. The states are going to be finalizing and optimizing their vaccination delivery systems, as well as what they do in order to get the vaccinations into people's arms. So I would expect that the vaccination rate will increase into the second quarter, and that we'll probably have around 200 million people in the United States vaccinated by early summer or so. This would allow all of the industries to open at full capacity and help jumpstart the economy ramping back up. So the first half of 2021 may be kind of slow due to lingering effects of COVID on industry, as well as fear of people going out into the workplace or into the commerce sector. But by the start of the second quarter, the vaccinations start happening, and there are actually some Yale and UCLA economists who are forecasting that the 2020s will be a lot like the roaring 1920s. Back in the 1920s, there was the pandemic of 1918 plus World War I, which put a big damper on the economy. However, there was a lot of pent-up demand, and that combined with technological innovations caused a massive boom in the 1920s as people went out and bought all these new consumer items, radios, washing machines, cars, those kinds of things. The economists are actually predicting that we might see 6% in the second quarter of 2021, and that the economy would ramp up from there, and we might have a boom as far into 2024. Of course, these are only predictions, and the farther out the economist predicts, the less reliability there is. Finally, the government is 100% committed to making sure that there is a smooth transition from the current dark winter into the booming, roaring summer of the 2020s. The Federal Reserve has committed to keeping interest rates low throughout the year of 2021. They are historically low, and that isn't going to change. Additionally, the Fed has said they will do whatever they need to do in order to keep the economy moving. They are not at all worried about inflation because inflation is very low. So the Federal Reserve will do things like buy bonds to make sure that there is plenty of liquidity, plenty of cash sloshing around the economy when people do come back, they do get their jobs back, and they are ready to spend that money. Finally, the other side of government from the Fed, the Congress, is also jumping on board. There's a proposal now for a $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus package, the third such stimulus package. This one would include $1,400 of direct payments to consumers who could then immediately spend it on things like rent and groceries. It would also include an increase of the unemployment benefit to $400 a month and extend that into September. So that would be plenty of time for the economy to recover after the vaccine is fully implemented. Finally, there's an additional $500 billion that has been targeted for state governments, local governments, and schools. That would benefit teachers, firemen, police, anything that is local or state government funded. Now, this is a massive stimulus bill. I don't know if it will get passed, but what I am willing to bet is that something big will get passed. It may not be 1.9 trillion, but I'll bet at the very least it's very, very close to 1 trillion. I can't imagine it being much less than that. So that's what I think is going to happen to the economy in 2021. I'm fairly optimistic, a little bit concerned in the short term, but even in the medium term and definitely long term, I think we're all ready to go and get out there and spend and boost the economy. If you've made it this far in the video, I would love it if you would engage with me. Go ahead and leave a question or comment down below. I do read all of my comments, and I'm Mark. Until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks.